Hey Reezer, hey CC. How you guys doing? And I think we're about ready to go. If Skurry, you're ready to go, I think we're all set for you. So this is going to be Link's Awakening, all secret shells.
Alright. So, yeah, this category is all secret seashells. It's a bit of a weird category. We're actually just going to be focusing on getting all the seashells and not finishing the game, but we still get to showcase a lot of cool things. Because everyone donated for the hero mode incentive, I'll be running in that. As you can see by the little monster icon in the bottom left. That's actually going to make things a lot harder for me, but I did practice this, so we should be fine. So starting off, any run of this game is going to grab the shield from Karen here. And we're going to go use that to get the sword on the beach. So yeah, the start is going to be very similar to pretty much any run of this game. There's not a whole lot different that you can do at the start, and there's a little bit before we can actually skip any major content, so we're just going to be heading as quick as possible to get all the early game items, and then later on we're going to be breaking the game a lot more. So we're going to grab the sword here. Of course, this owl really likes stopping us in our tracks. I guess he's not a fan of speedruns. He's going to be showing up a lot. Yeah, the seashells are basically the main collectible in this game. There's 50 of them total. And you can get them by doing a bunch of different things. Some are just hidden in trees or bushes. A lot are hidden underground, so you need the shovel for them. And there's some that you need to do minigames for. Basically, we end up doing a lot of content in this game just from getting all the 50 seashells that we wouldn't normally do. It is going to be a little while before we get the first one, because we're going to need to go get the powder and the key for Dungeon 1 before we do any of that. But in just a bit here, we will start collecting them, and then it'll speed up after that. I need to be careful here because of hero mode. The main difference with hero mode is, well, first of all, you take more damage, but the bigger issue is healing is very hard to do. In the base game, you'll get hearts. Whenever you're low on health, you'll just get hearts like crazy. I think it's an 80% drop rate or something. So you never have to worry about taking damage or anything, because you can just get infinite heals, but I'm gonna have to be a little more careful than that. Because the only way to heal really is to get heart pieces, heart containers. You can get fairies, but I think you can get fairies. But they don't spawn off mini-bosses. Oh, that's bad. And there's the fairy fountains, which I'm probably going to end up using at some point during this run. Yeah, those are going to be the first rupees we get. We're going to be getting a lot of those, both for minigames and to get the frog song, which is 300 rupees, so it's a lot of money to get in this route. Trying to avoid this slime here. And we're going to go into the witch's hut to get the magic powder. So this is mainly used on the raccoon here in the forest. We need to use it on him to get the slime key to let us into Dungeon 1. We'll use it for things later on, but this is the main reason we're getting this right now. We don't currently have a skip around the forest at the moment. So we just have to do this normally. And yeah, these enemies can kind of be a bit random with what they do and where they spawn. So I kind of just have to react to what they're doing in order to not get hit here. But here is the use of the powder. And this bush is going to magically disappear once the cutscene ends. Because I burnt it at the start of the cutscene. And when you do that, it just, like, disappears from existence. So that is the key for Dungeon 1. Which I believe is Slime Cave. I'm actually not completely familiar with the dungeon names. First of all, because we usually just call them like Dungeon 1, Dungeon 2. But also, the game is in German, which you may have noticed. That's because that's actually the fastest language. Which is a bit odd, because usually, you know, like Japanese or something is the fastest, but German gets rid of some pretty important dialogue boxes and it ends up saving a lot more time. Anyways, this is the crane game. We're going to be here quite a bit this run. And if you've played this game, you know this can be very jank. We're just going to hope it goes well. That's all we can really do. Good first grab, actually. That Yoshi doll can definitely be a pain. We're also going to grab this heart piece. I'll be amazed if we get, like, everything first try. Okay. We got that one as well. And we're gonna grab the rupees as well, just for some extra money. Some of these collisions on these items are really weird. The rupee and heart pieces are actually good because they may look small, especially the rupee, but you'll see there, it doesn't fall out of the arms, because the collision is actually pretty big. The game got a bit confused there because the rupee's like against the ledge, so it delayed slightly. But we actually did get everything first try. At least up to this point. We're gonna exit this and come back, and we're gonna get our first seashell from this game. And the seashells are definitely the worst, at least from what I've had to deal with, or from what we have to do in this category. The seashells have the worst collision. They can really troll you. They will just slip out of the arms on many occasions. So if we get this first try, that's amazing. Yep, that's the classic. That might actually be too low to get. I'm gonna leave the room, I think. I don't think I can... You can't move the arm down, so I think that's literally out of range. So now it begins. Now we get the true crane game experience. If I miss this too much, we can grab the red rupee. Hopefully it doesn't come to that. Okay. It might come to that. Yeah, very accurate representation of the crane game, I would say. You kind of just need to hope this rolls in a way that it doesn't get caught. Like that. Oh! It balanced perfectly on, like, its top. That was kind of incredible. Okay. There we go. Yeah, the main problem with the seashells is that they fall out, like, between the arms. But there we go, that's our first seashell. Our second one is just in the bush here. I think those are very That one's a lot easier to get than the first one. A little uneven difficulty, but if they were all as hard as the crane one, then this category would be like 5 hours long. Also, we're just gonna steal things. Stealing is fine, as long as you accept your punishment, which is death. The steal strat here is actually pretty easy, like you could do it yourself. I'm gonna do it again here. You just want to grab the item, make sure he looks up at you, and then walk down and do like a little diagonal walk towards the door. And you should be able to steal things. That saves us a lot of rupee routing, because especially the bow is really expensive. But yeah, we're gonna need both the bow and the bomb, and the shovel for later on. Now, that was for the trade quest, which the Yoshi doll gets us the bow, which we're gonna go in here for the dog food. The trade quest is basically this very long quest where we continually trade items between NPCs, and eventually at the very end you get the Lens of Truth, which will let you see the pattern. Normally they'll let you see the pattern in the egg, which is the final area, and get to the final boss. We're actually not going to be doing that. We're going to be doing the trade quest to a certain point where we get a seashell, and then we're going to be doing a skip to get the lens. So we're not doing the whole quest, we're just doing what we need to get seashells. And we're also not going into the egg at the end, but we still need the lens for one seashell. So this is dungeon 1. We're actually going to be leaving here early. So something we do a lot in this game is we'll split up dungeons. And that's what we're going to do here. But that basically involves you go in and get the item, and then you leave the dungeon and come back later on to pick it up. The reason we do it here is because there's actually a seashell in this dungeon, but it requires bombs, which you don't have yet. So either way, we're going to have to come back here. And it saves time if we leave the later half of the dungeon until then, because we'll have boots, and we'll be able to get through a lot quicker. So we're basically just going to get the jump and then leave. So I'm already at 2 health. I'm probably going to have to use the ferry after the dungeon. So the magic powder is also really good as a combat move. You can kill a lot of enemies in one cast. So we'll be using that a bit. See if I can get the cycle here. Nice. You can get like a drop hit on that Goomba if you go through that room fast enough. But here is the item we're looking for. This is a great item because it allows Link to jump, which is something he can't always do. And we're going to use this pretty much constantly. I like to have it equipped on Y most of the time. I know some people like to equip it on X, but those people are crazy. Alright, so we're going to be doing maybe the hardest... So this skip isn't that bad, normally. But because we met the hero mode incentive, this trick is a little more difficult. This chicken is very important here. I'm not just carrying him for fun. This is a very important chicken. There's a lot of tricks in this game where we like use like animals and friends and stuff to help us skip things. And this is the first one of those. I just hit him there, my bad. We are going to need 3 health, which is why I'm going to the ferry here. It's very important that we have 3 health for this skip. So I'm going to be trying to not get hit at all as I head over there. And I also need to nail this first try, so that is why this is hard on hero mode. If I don't get it first try, I'll have to walk back to the ferry before we can retry. I don't like where that like's going. Did he really just go all the way over there? That's not good. Okay, maybe... I'm back. Okay. I messed everything up. We're gonna reload the save. The like was in a very bad position there, and I didn't really know how to save that. So that was just unlucky. And then I just walked into a pit, because I don't know why. Let's set that up again. You know what I should have done? I should have saved... Actually, no. If I save during the... when I'm at full health, then... I'm gonna have to walk back to the chicken, so... I could do a second save, I guess. But yeah, after this point, hero mode isn't that bad. This is just the worst part from hero mode. This is the only part I'm really worried about for this. Hopefully we'll just get past it soon, and then we can... I'm not really worried about it that much. I'm gonna put a second save here. I don't know if I'll actually use that, but... It's fine though, we got time to mess this up. Okay, you need to not do that. I don't know where he's going. I'm gonna get my position set up here. So, the idea of the skip is... Okay, I got it. You use the chicken there to offset your launch angle from the like. So those enemies will launch you up into the air after eating you. And if you set your chicken up in a certain way, you'll bounce off the chicken. I'm also going to jump over here and jump over. That's an intentional death, so we can reheal. But that is the Bow Wow skip. That lets us get into Dungeon 2 early. And let's go in. Yeah, the first one was really unlucky. I was actually going to try and attempt the old strat where we would go to the sign, but then I messed up. Yeah, we're basically going to be doing the same thing we did in Dungeon 1 here, where we're not going to finish the whole thing. We're just going to get the dungeon item and leave. It's a little worrying that we're going to be at 3 health even longer, but eventually we'll get some heart containers. So I am going to need to be a bit careful to not take damage. We're picking up all these keys for later rooms. Yeah, not a whole lot going on in this dungeon. There's a lot of rooms where we have to kill all the enemies. This is kind of scary. I'm hoping this doesn't hit me. Oh, okay. And this is the worst room in the game because there's no way to do this cycle any faster. So you just have to wait. And every time I go through this room, that bothers me. But here's the mini-boss. There's a skip we could do here that would save a lot of time. But I'm not going to be going for it because it's a 1 in 3 chance. And hero mode makes it pretty much 1 attempt. So we're just going to do the old strat. Which still involves a skip, actually. It's just a slightly slower skip and more consistent. Any percent is under an hour and 10 minutes. I did that room very slow, but I'm just trying to not get hit by the ghosts. That's more important here. Alright, these are the bracelets. These let us pick up heavy objects like rocks and pots and stuff. We're going to be using that a lot. It's actually required to do Dungeon 3, so there's no way to skip that. But before we go, we're going to grab some more rupees, and then we're going to be heading out here. So every time we're in the overworld, we're basically going to be trying to collect as many seashells in our path as possible. There's one right here. I was really hoping that would not hit me. I was buffering shield. And we're going to open up that warp for later on. There's also a couple here. We never really go to this area in the map, besides now. So this is really the best time to get these seashells. Because we can just completely avoid this area later on. So we're currently heading down towards Dungeon 3. Dungeon 3 normally requires a lot of things. There's like this big side quest where you go to the Candlelit Castle and collect all the golden feathers. And then you give it to Richard and he lets you into the villa. We actually have like several ways of avoiding that. The one I'm going to be doing is the newer villa skip, which is going to involve these enemies here. I'm going to safety save, and we're going to see if we can get this. This involves using these enemies as a staircase, because for some reason they have collision on them, and we can use this to respawn on top of them, and run up them and jump onto the trees. And we're now out of bounds. It's worth noting these trees are all out of bounds areas. I was walking on them earlier to get into Dungeon 2, and now we're on the trees again. You're not supposed to get on the trees. But the devs just kind of let you do it anyways, if you manage to get up there. So we use that a lot. But yeah, that's the villa skip. That might not seem like it skips a whole lot, but it actually does, because normally to get in this area, it's like a huge side quest. It's a very useful skip. But we are going to go into the basement here just to get that seashell. And then quitting out is faster here. So we can head over to the key for Dungeon 3. I'm going to hopefully not fall here. I'm at 1 health. There's actually some weird glitches you can do with that key, but nothing really useful yet. You can, like, launch yourself into the sky with it. This game has some, like, really interesting glitches that don't really have a use, but I've had a lot of fun just, like, playing around with glitch hunting in this game. It's really enjoyable. Yeah, now that Dungeon 3 is open, we're just gonna slowly head over there. There's no way to open the dungeon and jump over the thing to get to it early. It's either or, so we still have to walk around this whole thing. But before we go in, we're gonna grab this seashell. And actually, I think I'm gonna die to this Octorok. I've realized dying is a very good strategy for hero mode, because you get more health that way. It's like, it's the only way to heal, pretty much, is by dying. But look at that, 3 health. What a good healing mechanic. Alright, so it's worth noting, we actually never bought bombs, but they still spawn in these pots. And we're actually gonna... This is how we get bombs on our character, like in our menu. We never buy them, or unlock them normally. we just break into Dungeon 3 early, which is a sequence break. And then the game expects us to have bought them already. So it just lets us pick them up, and they're in our inventory now. So that's actually one of the really cool parts of the routing in this game, is that we never buy bombs, we just break into Dungeon 3 and then it gives it to us from like the pickups. It's pretty interesting. And bombs are very important, so it's good that that's a thing. Yeah, I think Wind Waker had a similar thing like that, where you'd not have bombs that you'd find a pickup. It's pretty cool. We actually used to think that maybe we'd have to get the color dungeon bombs, which would have been really funny, like going into color dungeon just for the bombs. But after the skip was found to get into Dungeon 3 without bombs, we just get them from Dungeon 3. And there's actually 10 more bombs up here. So we'll be good for a while. This game has these little, like, floaty pickup things that are very useful. It would also normally have heart floaty things, but it kind of just gets rid of them for hero mode. Because that would be too easy. And now we got everyone's favorite mini-boss, the Dodongo Snakes. I didn't get that. These guys can be trolls, as you can see. The goal is to throw the bomb into their mouth like that. They will always move, I think, 4 times, and then they'll eat. But you can abuse after 3 moves. You can actually get them to stop by like blocking their path sometimes, and then they'll just eat it on the 4th move anyways. Like that. And yeah, they have caused a lot of issues in many of my runs. But that was alright. And now we finally have the running boots. So now we're true speedrunners. We're basically going to be using these for like all the movement, unless we're in a position where there's not enough movement for like the startup frames to be worth it. But generally we're going to be just running everywhere. That skeleton pretty much always hits me. I don't think that hit me, right? No. That zoom in on the camera made it think it hit me. Also, we just got a piece of power, so this is a mechanic in this game where after every certain amount of enemies you kill, it'll drop a piece of power, and you can purposely route that to help you out with things. I'm not going to be doing that this run, but we do that in Glitchless, and we used to do that a bunch in any percent. I'm going to be trying to not die. We don't actually need to head up here, because there's not a key or anything. The reason we're going up this way is because there is a 300 rupee in this dungeon, and that is very helpful. We actually get this in any percent too, to pay for Frog Song. It's just like the quickest way to get a bunch of money. The key we need is over here. And now we have all 4 keys for the main room. So we can just open all of them at once and get through. Kill one of the bomb enemies, left the room and came back, the other would be dead. Yeah, I don't think there's any strats like that in this game. Anyways, we're going to be heading towards the boss. This is going to be the first dungeon we actually complete. So we're doing just all seashells. So the instruments at the end of the dungeons are actually not required. Okay, we don't want acorns. Acorns slow us down and don't help us at all. Acorns are bad. But we don't actually need the instruments. The reason we're doing Dungeon 3, and we're going to do Dungeon 1 and 2, is because there's a seashell in the Dampi minigame, and the Dampi minigame requires you to beat the first 3 dungeons. So that's the only reason we're actually finishing these. I just dashed the wrong one. Watch this acorn save my life or something. That was a very slow fight, but at least we didn't die. Oh yeah, the running sound sounds like tap dancing. Or something. It's a really silly sound effect. Yeah, there we go. We finally have 4 hearts, so we will no longer be at risk, as much risk of dying. So we got a little skip coming here. It's nothing crazy, but we're going to be jumping around a couple of rocks here. That is definitely unintended. Normally you would need the flippers to get the seashell here, but we can just avoid needing the flippers and get it now, and then we never have to come back to this location. Acorns actually don't improve the speed at all, so they're just useless. They just lose time by having that like pop up, and then they increase your defense, which doesn't really speed you up at all. But we're going to be aligning ourselves off this edge, and then we'll be jumping around. I missed that slightly, so I kind of just drowned in the sand. You can see what I'm going for here. Hopefully we can get it soon. Can actually just jump around this entire thing. Like that. And now I have one chance to to jump back the other way. Let's see. Okay, no. I actually don't know where this is going to respawn me, to be honest. Probably on this side? Okay, and I think I have this shell still, yeah. So that just gives me health and lets me try it again. And, okay, we are struggling very hard with this. It's not usually that bad. We'll get it though. I keep drowning in the sand, dude. This is one thing I didn't really practice because I usually am pretty good at it. It looks like I should have. There we go, okay. We're out of there. So I'm gonna check my seashell count here to make sure I'm good. There's one we're gonna get up here. And this should be... Oh jeez, I'm ahead on my notes right now. I'll just check the next one. I know we're supposed to be heading to Animal Village right now, so... Okay, we're supposed to be at 10. Which we are. We're good. Anyways, we're going to be heading down to the Walrus, which... The Walrus is going to come into play later, but also this is going to allow us to spawn Marin on the beach, which lets us trigger the sitting on the beach with Marin event, which later lets us take her over here and get into the desert. There's 50 shells in total. So yeah, it's really important that we talk to the Walrus there, just to set all the triggers up. And then we're also going to be stopping by the Dream Shrine here. Which has some rupees for us, and it also has the Ocarina, which we'll need for several things. If there's any donations, you could read them right now.
Hey, well, I've got one from one of our good friends, CJ, who donated $5 a little while back ago that just said Kobe. But let me tell you, what CJ just donated is buying parent isolation gowns so that families can be together during their treatment, and I think that is pretty darn neat. So even just $5 is going to help out a ton.
Thank you. And here's the Ocarina. My chat always makes fun of how I say that word, but... yeah, so also that's a dream. It's weird that we're dreaming in this game, if you know the story of this game. Anyways, that's all we need from the village for now. So we're gonna head down to the beach in just a bit. We're gonna make a slight detour, because if you remember, we haven't actually finished Dungeon 1 yet. And there's also a seashell outside of Dungeon 1, so even if there wasn't one in Dungeon 1, we'd have to come back here at some point. But we also must get the one in Dungeon 1, now that we have bombs. And I'm also going to get a couple keys so we can finish the dungeon. This beetle actually killed me when I was doing a practice run, so I no longer trust this beetle. I'm just gonna smack him out of the way. Okay, he actually got revenge. You hate to see it. This is just what happens sometimes on hero mode. I've kind of come to expect this. Sometimes you'll just get poked by enemies, and because you take double damage, you die very quickly. But not a big death, not a huge worry. You can just quickly respawn and move back there. Yeah, they're definitely teaming up to kill me. I don't know why they hate me so much. Just because I kill them every run? Probably. Yeah, the boots help a lot in this dungeon. Like, for this long section, you normally have to walk that entire way. But coming back with boots allows us to just run through that whole section. And now, to finish off Dungeon 1, we've got a mini-boss here. With a really interesting looking face. To try and get 3 spins and then a couple hits. Now he would normally drop a fairy, but hero mode is going to stop that from happening. So now we're just going to have to do Moldorm with whatever health we have. And of course Moldorm looks very interesting in this game. I think the word I would use is burger-like. Yeah, hopefully Moldorm doesn't troll us. He kind of just bounces around randomly. And we have to wait for that to open. And there we go. Easy boss. If you get hit into the corners, you fall down and have to climb back up and restart the entire fight. Although it'd probably be more likely that I would just die to taking damage on hero mode. But there's Dungeon 1. that was just them Americanizing the game. I mean, it's got plenty of lettuce on it, so it must be healthy. Anyways, we're gonna do something a bit strange here. So if you remember, if you've played this game casually, you know that normally you would save Bow Wow before Dungeon 2, and then you'd use him to get in, but we did a skip to avoid all of that. So Bow Wow has actually not been kidnapped yet, despite us finishing Dungeon 2 and 3. So we're gonna go back to the village and trigger Bow Wow getting kidnapped, and then we're gonna run away. The reason we're doing this at all is because the Dampi minigame has like several triggers in order to get started, and one of those triggers is rescuing Bow Wow. If you don't rescue Bow Wow, you can't do the Dampi minigames, and there's a seashell there, so we do need to trigger Bow Wow getting kidnapped, and we need to save him. But you're gonna see later on, it's a lot more convenient to save him later on in the run, for a certain reason. Also, this is Sail, the croc. We're just continuing the trade quest here. He's gonna give us bananas. Also, his name is Erwin, in German. There's a seashell down here. And we're also gonna do the best skip in the game. Check this skip out. It's the sea jump. Oh, shoot. Best skip. It actually does save time, because otherwise you have to walk around. But if you jump off the seed and onto the log, that saves a little bit of travel time. I'm very proud of that skip. Yeah, we're just gonna be sitting on a date with Marin here. She's speaking German, so you can't really tell what she's saying, but it's still nice. Well, I can't tell what she's saying, at least. I'm gonna tell her I know what she's saying, though. Just to be nice. And now, we obtain Marin. It's definitely a great moment when Link lifts her up like that. So Marin cannot do seed jump, because look at this. The seed is blocking the way. She's gonna get very confused. Just look at her run around. She has no idea what she's doing. So we're gonna lose her a bit there, but going in this respawns her, and we need to go in here for the seashell. She can also jump, like look at that. She doesn't even have Pegasus boots. And she can jump as far as us. Yeah, the whole point we have, the whole reason we have Marin right now is to take her to the Walrus, so she can get him out of the way, and we can get into the desert. Because there are several seashells in here, and that's all we care about. Yeah, she doesn't need Pegasus boots to be like just as fast and jump just as far. She's just wearing sandals. Anyways, we're gonna start this off with a boss fight here. So I have 5 bombs. I'm gonna be using 4 of these to kill this thing optimally. I'm gonna be doing some bomb arrows. I just got the 1 cycle. That's actually really hard. Nice. That's actually really hard to do. Alright. So now that that's done, we're gonna grab this seashell here. Yeah, that meant all 4 of those bomb arrows hit him. It's really tight timing. I usually only get 3 and then I do the 2 cycles. And one more seashell in the bottom right there. Desert's a little awkward to get out of because of these enemies. But we'll just run out of here. And there's gonna be a cutscene waiting for us. The owl loves to stop us just when we're starting to run into a long area. Anyways, we heard a bit of Marin's song earlier, but let's hear the whole thing. The whole thing. I'll let everyone listen. I don't know if Sour Please is proper for this song, but it works. Also, make sure you don't say no there, or else you have to listen to the whole thing again. I've made that mistake before. Anyways, we're gonna use the key we got from that mini-boss, which was the Angler Key. And we're gonna open up Dungeon 4. So, I mentioned Dungeon 1 through 3 was important for the Dampi games. Dungeon 4 and 5 we actually both have to complete for a different reason. And that's because of the fishing minigame. So there's some seashells in the fishing minigame. And in order to get the correct fish to spawn for that, you actually need to finish Dungeon 4 and Dungeon 5. Dungeon 4 spawns the Cheep Cheep, and Dungeon 5 spawns the Blooper, and those are the 2 we need, so we end up having to do both of those. But Dungeon 5 will be the last dungeon we'll finish. And yeah, we're gonna be fishing later. So get hyped for that later on. There will be plenty of fishing. So now that we have bananas, we're gonna give it to this monkey. This would actually normally get us into Canalit Castle, which would get us into Dungeon 3. That's how out of, that's how out of order we are right now, because of all the glitches we did. This would normally be required to get into Dungeon 3. But of course we get a stick in turn for our banana, a very fair trade, I would say. I'm gonna bonk that bush, because for some reason that's a thing you can do in this game. And then that one bomb I saved was for this seashell right here. And then we're gonna get into Dungeon 4 and get more pickups, so we won't run out of bombs. And now we're gonna make Terran just, you know, do smart things. Then we're just gonna watch him and take the honey for ourselves. Good job, Terran. We've got one more trade quest thing to do before we head up to the dungeon. And that is the honeycomb here. I'm going to trade it for the pineapple. Because on the way to Dungeon 4, we're going to be in the mountains. And the guy we need to trade the pineapple to is in the mountains. So it's really convenient to have that while we're heading up there. But also, if you remember, we didn't actually finish Dungeon 2 yet. So we're going to make a slight detour and just finish that, because we'll need that for later. So we're going to be doing a skip called Genie Skip. I only have, I think, 2 chances? I might have 3 chances. But we'll see if we can get it. This was a long sought after skip because everybody hates the genie fight. And it was finally discovered. It's actually no longer optimally, like, the optimal strat because of D2 Hinox Warp, but it's safer and more marathon safe. So we'll be going for that. It's more consistent. Yeah, we're basically going to be using the boss to clip out of the door. It's actually a really neat skip. So hopefully I can get it. If I miss it, I'll just have to fight the boss normally, which will lose a bit of time. Yeah, I realized that hero mode would make it a lot harder too. Okay, so the skip is going to begin like the moment we're in here. We're going to try and stay in the same spot here. And the way this boss works, it's a very long boss fight normally. He will just throw fire at you, and you have to dodge, and then eventually he'll come at you and like from his pot, and you knock him over and throw it against the wall. You have to do that 3 times, then enters the second phase, and you have to spin slash him several times while waiting for him to stop circling you. But if we get this skip, which I didn't, that's not the skip. That's not the skip. If we get the skip, we can just clip through the door and skip the whole thing. That was unfortunate. The moment I missed it, I should have just fought him normally, I think. Because I took 2 damage there, because I just stood inside him. I'm gonna try one more time here. The main problem with hero mode for this is that I just can't damage tank him that much, so it's gonna be hard to get the skip. It's fine if I end up just fighting him normally, but we'll give it one more shot. Yeah, even less health. We'll get it, we'll get it. Come on, this is an easy trick. There we go. And that is Genie Skip. We come back into the room and he doesn't spawn because the game gets confused. There we go. But yeah, I really like that skip because that's a really unique one that we use like the boss collision to clip out of the door. And also the fight sucks, so that's what makes it even better. I am going to walk left here because I want to heal. And as we all know, the best way of healing is dying. Anyways, let's head to Dungeon 4 now. Yeah, he's looking for me somewhere. He left his pot behind. So yeah, we'll have a slight detour here. We're gonna go visit this guy. He's waving to us. And I'm gonna almost die to bats. I could really use this pineapple, but I'm gonna give it to you instead. Yeah, this is the second last item, trade quest item we'll be getting. There's 3 at the end we're gonna be skipping. But we need the one after this for a seashell. So let's head into Dungeon 4. I'm gonna drown, I think. I think that's the best option right now, is to drown. Get that 3 health. Yeah, I'm always impressed by how he can slice the pineapple so perfectly in half. Anyways, there is a skip here that I might go for once. It's probably a bad idea to go for on hero mode with 3 health. But I might try for it once. If I lose any health, we won't go for it because I will no longer be able to. Okay. Wait, I can't do it with 3? I thought 3 was minimum. Alright, we just won't do it then. Because wouldn't I take 2 damage from the bomb? I'm pretty sure bomb damage isn't increased. On hero mode. I think it's just enemy damage. Although I don't exactly want to test right now. Either way, it's impossible with 2 health for sure, so we'll be doing the old Dungeon 4 strat. It's just a little slower. But there is a way to jump around this, that plus-shaped hole early, and not have to go around the intended way. It's actually a really cool skip. Okay, wow, this guy is hitting me through the door. And I can't hit him through the door. That's fair. This is now stressful. I need to make sure I don't die. So I'm gonna be taking this really slow. Okay, so far so good. We got to the key. That was the important part, because now if I die I can just run to the door anyways. Still be faster to not die there. Okay, we got a mini boss here. There is a quick kill setup that I'm gonna go for, involving an arrow and 3 spin slashes. See if we can get it. I did not. Oh, I almost got that chain though. Alright, that's pretty good still. I'll take that. You can kill him before he even leaves like the bottom left, but it's a little hard. Okay, so we're actually going to be doing something that any percent doesn't do, which is we're going to be finishing Dungeon 4 in one go. Normally we would split this into 2 travels because of the ghost that spawns. Okay, I'm trying not to get hit by these guys. Let's just kill him. Normally you'd split Dungeon 4 into 2 travels because at the end of it a ghost spawns, and what the ghost makes you do is this really long side quest where you take him to his like house, which is where we were breaking pottery earlier. He flies around slowly in like this unskippable cutscene, and then you have to take him to his grave. And it takes forever. It's like several minutes or something. So we always route this game in ways that we can avoid that entirely. So in any percent what we do is we split the dungeon into 2 visits, and that way we can just go to the end of the game and not spawn the ghost ever. Because we have Dungeon 4 as like the last dungeon, and the ghost only spawns below a certain... Okay, dude. Yeah, I thought that might happen. He only spawns below a certain spot on the map. But in this category, we're actually going to be spawning the ghost, but we're going to use a different glitch to get rid of him. And I'll go more into that later. When we get there. For now, I need to get back to this room here and do the skip properly. This was like a day 1 skip here. But basically what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to shoot the wall here. And then you can jump around like that, and that skips having to go into that room the intended way. It's a very nifty little jump. Now we've got the hardest boss. Piranha Killer. So the strat here is mostly to get double hits with Spin Slash. If you position yourself in a certain way, you'll see there I got 2 hits. Both of those hits did the full Spin Slash damage. And that's a very good way to get a ton of damage. Because Spin Slashes are double damage from normal slashes. So you can see I killed him like very quickly because of that. And I am going to be grabbing this heart container for safety purposes. Even though it's kind of out of the way. Yeah, do we have any donations?
I do, but I'm going to butcher this one, so I'm just forewarning you.
Okay.
$10 from Keto Fox. He goes, Marin has a little mantra for Link. He tells that she sells seashells with the seashells by the seashore. Seashells sell.
I think you nailed it.
Man, I did my best with that.
Okay, so now we've finished every dungeon we're going to be finishing. Actually, no. We haven't done Dungeon 5 yet, ignore me. We finished the first 4. And we're going to be getting a very helpful thing here. Which I think this is, it only works this way in this game. But this basically lets us fast travel from anywhere on the map. And it helps with routing a bunch. And we also got another song, so I'll let this play. Sing along if you know the lyrics. Alright, we are going to be using that a bunch for the rest of this route. first thing we're gonna do is spawn our ghost friend. And get a couple seashells while we're doing that. So Seashell Mansion is below the point where the ghost will spawn. So in just a bit here you'll see... There he is. This ghost will follow us around and stop us from entering dungeons. But he does not stop us from entering caves. Which is how we're gonna use that to actually kind of glitch him out of the game in a bit here. But first we're just gonna grab these while we're warping down. Just so that the warp actually has a use, like warping down to spawn the ghost. If we just did it and then left, that would be like worse routing. But if we use it to get some items in the meantime, works out pretty well. Also this seashell is like so out of the way that you can't really route it in a better spot, because you're going to want to warp out of this area. But there's one right here. And then we're going to head up to the Dampi warp again. And now this is where everything comes together. So we triggered the Bow Wow cutscene, so Bow Wow has been kidnapped. And I mentioned earlier that we need Bow Wow in order to spawn Dampi. So we're gonna go do that. But this was intentional doing this after I spawned the ghost. Basically, this game has a system where you can only have one follower at a time. But because the game never expects you to have more than one, or like be able to get more than one, through like sequence breaking, it just removes your previous follower entirely if you get a new one. So what's gonna happen here is we're gonna get Bow Wow as a follower, and the ghost is just gonna get removed from the game. And we don't have to deal with his side quest at all. So big shoutouts to Bow Wow for helping us with that. This actually, we have to warp out here. If we don't, it soft locks the game. So that's worth mentioning. But yeah, we're gonna see, look, me and Bow Wow go into the sky and we leave him behind. The ghost is now gone. So yeah, that's a good abuse of the fact that that's just how the follower system works. It's only useful in this category because normally you don't need to save Bow Wow at all. But because we need to save Bow Wow for Seashells, it becomes very useful. Yeah, we just ghost busted successfully. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna die. Purposefully. Thank you, enemy. Also, you might think Bow Wow can't swim, but he's actually a pretty good swimmer. We'll see later on. He's gonna be swimming here a bit. But there'll be a lot more Bow Wow swimming later on. He will eventually follow you into the water. Yeah, this is Dungeon 5. We're gonna be doing a pretty difficult skip in this dungeon. But it's towards the end, so we kind of have to play the first bit of this dungeon like normal. We're just gonna be going around killing this mini-boss. Because this dungeon is structured around this one mini-boss that you have to kill 4 separate times. And it's a very easy mini-boss. I'm not the biggest fan of this dungeon, because you have to just kill him like 4 times, and it's the exact same fight. So hopefully we get through this pretty quickly. And yeah, those are the loud crystals that we used to audio balance, if anyone was wondering about the behind the scenes. Here we're gonna have to kill all of these skeletons. Spin slashes work the best. And here is said mini-boss. There's not a whole lot of optimizing we can do here, but basically you just want to mash bomb so that the bomb explodes like sooner. Which, you know, you have to watch less of the cutscene, and don't do that. That's also important to not do that. If you hit him before he starts swinging at you, then he just blocks it. So I guess I'm talking about this being super easy, and then I messed up the strat. So maybe it's actually really, a really complex boss fight. So here's fight number 2. And there's a bomb pickup over here that we're gonna grab. Those are always the best. Just get 10 bombs for completely free. And they're usually not too far out of the way either. But yeah, the fourth fight's gonna be a little different. You'll see when we get there. We're actually going to be using the skeleton and the item he spawns in order to skip the like entire second half of the dungeon, including the boss fight. I'm going to do a save here in case I miss it. So I'll talk a bit about this glitch that I'm going to be doing. This is the hookshot rocket, which I believe Kincaid discovered. He discovered a lot of the skips in this game. But basically, items have this... certain items have a weird collision on them, where they're kind of... they spawn in the air and then they fall and then they become inactive. But while they're in the air, you can do some weird things with them. And the hookshot is one of those items which spawns after we defeat this guy. We're going to be luring him into the bottom right here. I'm going to walk into him like that, and I'm going to try and do some things with this hookshot here. Well, I ended up on top of it, but I was a little late. What you want to do is you want to pick up the bomb the instant that it lands on your head, and what it'll do is it'll launch the hookshot into the air, but it'll also like clip you inside the collision and launch you into the air. So I was a little off on the timing there because it didn't go up into the sky. Oh shoot! Okay, I messed up. I loaded the wrong save. Yeah, we're gonna keep going for this. Because the alternative is fighting the boss, and I don't want to fight the boss. It's like, I think it's like 40 seconds to reattempt, maybe a little more. Oh yeah, some of the German names for the dungeons are really good. Okay, let's see if we can get second try. There we go. So as you can see, we've been launched into the sky, and the devs actually don't void you out on the dungeon walls. So we can just walk on the walls and get to the instrument and finish the dungeon. That's gotta be one of my favorite tricks. So now we've completed all the dungeons. A little side effect of this one, though, is that we actually don't have the hookshot, so we're going to go back in and grab that. Hookshot is required for certain things, like getting into Dungeon 6. There's actually only, I guess there's only one spot you need hookshot in this category, which is getting into Dungeon 6. Normally there's a spot in Dungeon 6 you would have to do as well, which means that there's like a total of 2 required hookshot uses in the game. But yeah, there's only one for all secret seashells. We go back to the animal village here. Yeah, German is the fastest language in this game. I feel like a lot of Zelda games have this weird trend where it's kind of like a strange language, an unexpected language to be the fastest. But a big reason in this game that is faster is because there's that text after the dungeon that, like, it tells you the hint of where to go next. In most languages there's 2 screens there, but in German there's only one screen. Like, it would normally fade out to another white screen and then it would be over. But in German there's only one screen, so every time you finish a dungeon it saves time. Yeah, we're gonna take Bow Wow for a walk here. There's a couple shells here, and we're also going to need the key to get into Dungeon 6. But this is actually a location that Bow Wow is not supposed to be in. Like, at all. Bow Wow is supposed to be, like, only in this one tiny spot of the map. On the left side. And you can kind of notice, these Armoses actually, Bow Wow will not attack them or interact with them. I assume because they never expected him to be over here. Because he'll still attack these slimes, but he will not lunge at these Armoses at all. Yeah, we have done a lot of sequence breaks to get Bow Wow over here. We'll grab the seashell under here, though.
Is this a good spot for a little reminder real fast?
Yeah, sure.
I want to remind everybody, up next, we've got Close Run of the Minish Cap, and there is an incentive for that. So we're going to have just probably about under an hour here before that closes when that run starts. Right now, it's looking like Miku is in the lead with about $15. So if you guys want to get your donations in for that, that'll be closing here at the start of the run for the club.
Acorn! I always get acorn spawns in places I can't avoid them. At least now I won't take damage to this guy, I guess. I think I'm gonna go for the quick kill here. Let's do it. We're gonna do a spin slash. Another spin slash. Okay, I missed that. So I will stop going for it. There's a way to do 2 spin slashes and then double arrow and kill him immediately. But we'll just take it a bit slower. I messed up the second one. Okay, remember when I said Bow Wow can swim? We're gonna showcase that pretty well here in just a bit. I'm gonna take him for a nice long swim right after we get this seashell. It may not seem like he can swim because he's like an iron ball, but look at him go here. Masterful swimmer. He also looks very happy when he's jumping around. But yeah, you're not supposed to let Bow Wow get Bow Wow in the water ever, so the game... I don't know, I feel like it handles it pretty well, actually. But let's head into Dungeon 6 now. We're gonna actually be... just getting the item and leaving, kind of like we were doing earlier. There is technically a seashell in Dungeon 6, but we're gonna be doing a certain skip to get it later on, to save a bit of time. I don't know why I went up this way, but that works. I don't know, Bow Wow is like in the cave. I don't know how that happened. But yeah, we went to the shrine to get the key to open this, because we will need the item in this dungeon to get the rooster, which we need to get into Dungeon 7, which has a seashell. It's all connected eventually to seashells. But yeah, we're not gonna be here long. We're just going to rob the dungeon item up here. But you do get to hear the Dungeon 6 theme for a little bit. It's pretty nice. Try and get these all in one hit. Nice. And here are the bracelets. It actually is very quick to get these. Like most of the dungeon we don't even need to go into. But yeah, if you guys are hyped for the fishing minigame, that's coming pretty soon. We're just gonna make a stop on the way to the village to get a seashell from this tree, and also to get Frog Song, which we'll also need to open the rooster. There's a pretty major skip that we've been trying to find for a long time, called Early Rooster. Because the rooster is very broken and let us do a bunch of skips, and if we could get it as early as possible, it would probably save like a bunch of time. We can actually get Frog Song as early as Dungeon 3, using a bomb jump, but we don't have any way to get the power bracelet or to get into the rooster without power bracelet. So yeah, that's kind of like the holy grail of this game right now. A lot of people have spent many hours trying to discover that glitch, but it is undiscovered currently. Which is why we need to get the bracelet and the Frog Songs thing. It's actually funny because in the original game you skip the rooster entirely, I believe. But in this game we want the rooster as early as possible. Anyways, we got one last musical performance for everyone. This one's a bit of a banger. Alright, that is Frog Song. So now we have access to the rooster. And we're gonna wrap this in with our visit to the village for the fishing minigame, actually. So as soon as we're done reviving this rooster, we'll get to that. A bit of a sad thing is actually happening here, guys. So if you remember how the game handles followers that I described earlier, the rooster is a new follower. So we're gonna have to say bye to Bow Wow. I know he's been with us this whole time, and it's been great, but he's getting replaced. So yeah, pay your respects to Bow Wow. He's been a good boy. But sadly, he is no longer with us. Anyways, let's go fishing. Hold on, I'm gonna save in case I lose all my money to this. Alright, we've got 3 goals for fishing here. And I see 2 of them. The first goal is to catch a little fish like this, which is going to spawn a heart piece, because the first fish you catch will always be a heart piece. So if you catch a fish that would normally be a seashell as the first one, it's just going to give you a heart piece and not a seashell. So we need to make sure we catch a little guy. And this is, we have to mash, and then we have to let go of mashing when they are fighting the line. That's how you fish here. So there's the heart piece. And now I'm gonna keep going because there's a Cheep Cheep here. And that is one of the requirements for seashells. He keeps faint biting it. Okay, there we go. And Cheep Cheeps will do this jump out of the water. Okay, that hurts. I'm gonna keep going in case something good spawns. Which nothing is spawning. Okay. What I did there was I mashed while it was fighting and it broke off. Don't want to do that. Okay, so we do need a blooper, but we need the blooper to be a certain size, and that was too small. So this kind of becomes resetting until you get the good spawns. Usually the blooper is the hard one. I usually get Cheep Cheeps pretty quickly, but I've had times where spawning the blooper takes forever. There we go. There's our first one. And now we pray to RNG that we get the blooper spawn. Every time we do this, it costs 10 rupees. It's not usually an issue to lose too much because we get a lot of extra. But yeah, as you can see, this might turn into trying to spawn a blooper for quite a bit here. Just gotta keep retrying. And still no blooper. You know, the game would be too nice if it gave me good spawns during a marathon. There he is! That's a big blooper. Alright. So these things bite with their head for some reason. Yeah, this is the hardest one to catch because they both jump left, and because it's bigger, it's harder to mash it in. This might take a little bit. There we go. Alright, that wasn't too bad. Could have been a lot worse. And that is all the fishing we need to do. So I should have 29, that's good. And if you thought we were done with the minigames, you are very mistaken. We're gonna go back and get that second seashell from the crane game that I mentioned earlier. So first thing we're gonna do is get this chamber stone, aka rock. These ones have a big collision, so they don't usually fall out. Now getting this shell actually takes 2 room respawns. So we get that, which spawns the heart container, or heart piece. And then we get the heart piece, which spawns the seashell. And then we won't have to deal with the crane game anymore. Generally on these moving ones, I try to time it so that the arm's at the other side when it stops at the opposite side. So that's my strategy for the moving ones. But we got both of those first try, that's good. And now here's the hard one. Hopefully this one isn't as annoying as the previous seashell. Hoping for just a clean first try grab. That looks sketchy. Alright, that's fine. It's at least in range. That actually just yeeted it. Completely out of the claws. I'm gonna try being a little off-centered, maybe it'll help. Oh, that looks promising. And it's not. This is out of my control. We just have to hope it doesn't fall out. The rupees are not a huge deal, though. What the heck? Okay, I thought that was gonna work. It's a very rigged game. I think the game knows we're ahead of schedule for the marathon. And wants to help kind of like adjust the schedule. There we go. Alright. We can no longer play this game ever again. So, we're going to be doing a game mode here that was added for the Switch version, which is the Dampi dungeons. So this is kind of like a dungeon designer thing that they added in, where you can basically use the pieces of older dungeons, or like, you can use pieces of the actual dungeons and arrange them in ways to make your own dungeons. And there's a bunch of challenges that you can do, where you have to design them in certain ways in order to like pass the challenge. And doing the first page of them gives us a seashell, so we're just doing the first page. It won't take too long. It is a bit of menuing and just this kind of stuff, but it won't be too long. I'm actually going to open up my notes to see what I should be putting places. But yeah, I don't know, I'm not the biggest fan of this game mode personally. I don't like how it's kind of restrictive with only being able to use entire tiles. I think something like more like a Zelda maker would be a lot more interesting. But yeah, generally we're going to be designing the dungeons in ways that we can just finish them as fast as possible. So we have a lot of empty rooms that we don't go to and stuff like that, so probably Nintendo would probably think we're designing the dungeons really badly, but we're doing it for the purpose of speed. The way the Dungeon Maker works is, if you have several chests, it actually forces you to open every chest. So you can't get good RNG and like, oh, get the boss key on the first chest and then go in. You will always get like them in the same order. You'll get the boss key last. So to counteract that, we basically just want to have as few chests as possible. So we want no chests, we want rooms that are pointless, and we want the early game boss fights, because they're faster. So yeah, that's how you optimally design the dungeons for the speedrun. There's actually, on the later dungeons, you can do like a Hinox warp to get through them a lot faster, but I don't think there's any for the first page. But 100% does all the pages, and there's some crazy stuff you can do. Here's the first one. There's 4 of these we have to do. The last one has like a lot of tiles we have to place, because you have to fill the whole board basically. But the first 3 are very short. This is basically going to be the same as the other one. You know, there just ends up being some tiles that are faster than others. And we're going to use those ones. So I'm basically designing this dungeon the same as the previous one, but smaller. I'm gonna be seeing a lot of this room. Is there any donations?
Yeah, I've got one from Ika a little while ago. It's $5, and she just says "Wubbins" like always.
So yeah, this dungeon makes us place 2 chests. So we always have to open both of them, and then just head to the end. And it's actually faster with my loadout right now to fight the slime boss. And not if I do that though. You can actually not run enough to snap them in half there. 2 down. Third one is super short as well. Yeah, this one makes us use the stairs, but we're basically just gonna have one room over there and have the boss fight right at the start. Very simple dungeons. If this was a Zelda dungeon though, I'd probably be pretty disappointed. Also the area you get here on the stairs is actually randomized, and some of them can be like faster than others. It's not like a huge difference, but it is like a random selection every time. I'd say this one's pretty fast. Yeah, again, this is all just for one seashell. This is definitely the most effort you have to do for a single seashell. Especially because even doing this in the first place required beating Dungeon 1 through 3 and saving Bow Wow. Like, this single seashell is a lot of time spent getting to. Now we've got the last dungeon. This one takes a while to design, but you can design it in a way that you don't have to do like barely anything. So we'll see if we can get that. Try to menu as fast as possible. I need a room like that. Yeah, I'm sure like this could probably be very impressive if someone menued it like perfectly. I definitely don't menu it perfectly, but I do my best. And there also might be better ways to design the dungeons. This is the best one I could find. It basically has it so that there's only one chest in the entire dungeon, so we don't have to go to anywhere else on the left side. And we're gonna place like a bunch of bosses and stuff on the left that we don't have to do. So that should be stairs. Whoops. And one more. Place the skeleton. So yeah, we just designed the entire dungeon with one chest in it. So we know where the boss key's gonna be. Yeah. It's kind of a boring part of the run, but it is pretty silly to see done quickly. Just like mashing through the menus. But yeah, you do not have to do this in like any percent or any of that. It's just for the seashell. In 100% you have to do a lot more of this. Wait, did I miss? Oh yeah, there's one more side. you think there's a chance we could get a Hinox warp for the heart one, Lime? I guess it wouldn't be worth, right? Because you can finish it so quickly anyways. I'm surprised I missed that. But there we go, the Dampi Dungeons are done. We don't have to deal with that anymore. Definitely by far the longest seashell in the game. What try Dampi? I think that was first try Dampi, dude. Pretty nuts. Anyways, now we're going to be heading down to the forest. There's actually a lot of seashells here that we could have gotten earlier, but it's just convenient to get now that we have dash and all that. And we're heading up to the top left of the map, so it's just a pretty good time to get them. But we're going to be getting a ton of shells in succession here. There's one there. There's one at the start. There's one in these leaves. And then we're gonna make a stop by Mr. Wright's house. So we can take his broom. Also, here's Peach. Also, this side quest is a little weird because there's a goat, like, sending love letters, and I guess that's supposed to be, like, she's pretending to be Peach. So we're kind of assisting in a catfishing here. It's a little weird. But I'm just gonna take my broom and be on my way. We've got a skip here called Flame Cave Skip. This actually had a huge impact on the run for like every category. Because normally you'd have to beat Dungeon 7 and then use the shields to get into Dungeon 8 or like get to this area. But if you just do this, you can just get up here without needing the shield at all. And that is useful in like every category basically. Just helps a lot for routing. Not only that, but we have a bunch of out-of-bounds movement here. We can walk on these rocks. Because, just like the trees, the game just lets us do that. We're gonna grab this seashell if I don't die. You know what? That's probably better because I get a heal. Dying is good sometimes. Especially because this game just spawns you right there if you're in the overworlds. But yeah, have you ever seen this mountain in the background and wondered if it's a solid object or not? Allow me to show you that it is a solid object, and you can run up it. This lets us skip a lot of movement by just doing that. It's honestly one of my favorite parts of the run in this game. I'm gonna try for a skip here. I don't know if it'll actually happen or not. But I'm pretty sure that seashell's still gonna be there when I come back. I could have ran away a little earlier, probably. Yeah, there it is. How many seashells am I at? I'm at 39. Which is weird because... Is that 1 up of what I should be? Also, that's a nice little swag jump. Oh no, I'm good, I'm good. I thought I might have been 1 up because I got the one from the hole written down as 38, but that's just because I usually get it first. But yeah, this key is going to let us get into Dungeon 7, and that's what we need the rooster for. Besides, of course, breaking the game in many ways, but that's the, like, the required, the normal use of the rooster, is to get that key. But we're, of course, going to use him for more ladder breaking. There's some caves here to get us to Dungeon 7, but we could also just do this instead. And one more rooster climb. We'll skip these caves as well. There we go. That was pretty clean. We're gonna void out here, but it respawns us back up, so no worries. The movement from Dungeon 8 to Dungeon 7 is definitely one of the most silly looking things in this game. And I love it a lot. It really shows how broken the rooster is and showcases a lot of out of bounds stuff. So this is a very infamous dungeon for speedrunning this game. In any percent, this dungeon has the hardest skip in the game, which is a frame-perfect input with very little visual cue. We don't have to do that, which is why this category is great. We're just here for the seashell. So we're gonna do a little skew here, which I haven't done yet. Basically, there's this thing in this game where you can redirect your angle to be a slightly off like normal if you just swing your sword in the air. So what I'm trying to do here is get a specific angle by doing that, and then I can bomb arrow that switch a lot earlier than normal. And that lets us skip having to go around a bunch of spots. And this is the Hinox that lets us do the glitch. We're just gonna run past him. Also, shoutouts to Kirby here. There he is. Kirby's in this game. Gonna do a jump there. That's a bit of a scary jump, but it's pretty consistent actually. You can avoid falling in that pit if you just walk at a certain angle. We're gonna get one more seashell on the way back to the ladder here. Just out on this platform. There's pretty big invisible walls here, so you can't actually rooster skip into this area yet. But there might be a way of doing it. And now we actually got another skip that is only done in this category. It's something that would make early rooster very helpful, because this is basically a way to get into Dungeon 6 without using the face key. Let me make sure I don't forget this one. Yeah, this is called Dungeon 6 Back Entrance. I'm gonna save here because I might mess this up. But we're basically going to be doing a rooster climb like we've been doing. But instead of going to the right or left, we're going to go straight down. I'm going to try and set my X position in the right spot here. And then we're going to ride on an invisible wall all the way to here, and then drop down into the chest here. This actually has a big invisible wall around it, so you need to ride like in a very specific X position so that you don't lose height. But yeah, that's the D6 back entrance. It's a very cool trick, and it doesn't have any use outside of this category currently. We're gonna grab this seashell. And now this is one of my favorite parts of the run. So there's a rafting minigame, which has a seashell for finishing it in between 30 and 35 seconds. And now there's also a seashell within the rafting minigame itself on an island. And you would think we'd have to do it twice to get both, but if you do it perfectly, you can do the raft game one cycle, and only have to do the raft game once. I'm going to try for it here. We're going to try and dig up the seashell on the island, and still finish in time. It fires a lot of hook shots. Uh-oh. I messed that up. I think we'll still have time, if I get the rest right. Yeah, 19's enough time. I just have to not mess up the end. And there we go. That's it. Nice. I got a 32. That is the rafting game one cycle. It's pretty precise. Alright, we're almost at the end of the run here. We've got one more trick to do, and then there's a few seashells to quickly clean up. And that last trick is actually going to be early lens. So the lens I talked about earlier, it's supposed to let you see the pattern of the egg, so that you can finish the game. But it's also used for one seashell, because there's a Zora that we can't see without the lens. And we're gonna use the skip to avoid having to do the last 3 trade quest items. This also uses the rooster. We're gonna climb up here. I'm gonna push against here, which pushes us out of bounds, and these have collision, but if you walk too close to the center, you're gonna void out. So we need to carefully walk on the seam here. Make sure we don't get too close to the inside. And then we're gonna diagonally walk, and it clips us into the statue there. That's early lens. That used to be how we finished the game in any percent, but then we found RNG minute, and that kind of replaced it, but it still has use in this category, which is cool. I only have 3 left, and I'm gonna get them all in like a minute. We're pretty much done at this point. That was the biggest, like... That was the last big thing I had to do. We're gonna get one here. That's the one that needs lens. One here. I should be at 49. Yep, so the last one is the Walrus. Whoops. So we normally end timing on the final gift. The opening of the final gift. So we could do that here. Yeah, we're gonna play the song for the Walrus here. And he's gonna give us the last seashell here. And that is all 50. So yeah, if you're ever wondering what's the quickest way to get all the seashells in this game, you now know. It involves a lot of glitching and breaking the game, but it's pretty fun. So yeah, now we're gonna go get our rewards here, and it'll end on the final present here. The opening of the final present. But yeah, thanks to everyone who, like, found all the glitches in this game. Because, in my opinion, those are a big part of what makes it so much fun. So, like, especially Kincaid and Tubal. And, like, everyone else who found skips in this game. Put a lot of work into finding them. Appreciate it a lot. Shoutouts to the community. There's a Discord. I think it's shared with the, like, the old Link's Awakening games. Like, there's one Link's Awakening speedrun Discord, and all the games are in there. So if you're interested in learning the game, check that out. Glitchless is very accessible, but if the glitches look interesting to you, there's like guides and tutorials for them. So yeah, definitely check that out too. It's a really fun game. I'd recommend running it. Thanks to SpeedDocs for hosting the speedrun. If you guys want to see some content about me, SpeedDocs actually has a Hollow Knight video, true-ending world record progression video. Also, time. That's the time that I'm featured in, so check that out for sure. But yeah, that's it. We have succeeded. What was the final time?
Oops, sorry about that. It was a 2:01:44.
Oh, nice. That's really good for hero mode, to be honest. I thought I was going to go way over that. Yeah, I'm all done.
A big thanks to Skurry for that awesome run of A Link to the Past. Up next, we've got Quo running Minish Cap, and we'll get going with that here shortly.